Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse pregame live show with my good friend Keith from Sports Vibes TV. Welcome, brother.
How's everything, George? How you been?
I've been good, man. It's been a long time since you and
Yeah.
I have chopped it up on live. Let's put it that way. We talk practically every day about Knicks.
Yeah. And even when the Knicks aren't playing, we have some type of topic to get into.
Oh, exactly. There's been a lot of interesting things that have popped up lately about the Knicks and just in general with the NBA. We'll talk all about that. But today, the most important thing is Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish has been greenlit to play today. And that's great news, man. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited because I was a little bit concerned seeing that he was dealing with the injury. I know, behind the scenes, some people were saying he was trying to get back in, but with him being injured, I think he didn't necessarily put the best foot forward in terms of tape. So for him
intended?
No pun intended, but we'll roll with it. So now at least he'll get another opportunity to kind of put some good film up there for Tibbs to watch, seeing that Tibbs watches every game.
Yeah. We're going to get into how Cam can basically crack this rotation. If it's possible, what are some of the things that would have to happen for him to crack the rotation? Can he crack it even if there's no injuries? We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about what do we think at this point. It's kind of hard to tell. It's only been one game. Second game is tonight. And these are just preseason games. And we're still missing some key rotation players. The guys that we know are definitely in a rotation, like Grimes is going to be out tonight. And Fournier is being rested. So, but we're still going to get into, we're going to chop it up about that because I am curious to hear your feelings about what do you think would be the ultimate lineup for the New York Knicks with the current roster we have now. And then maybe we'll even do a little theoretical stuff of we have these pieces. What else could we add if we have a time for that? Let's shout out to the chat. I think there's we got a couple people watching right now. We started like kind of haphazardly. We're supposed to start.
Thank you for tuning in
15 minutes earlier. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
It's pregame for the Knicks. I mean, it's preseason for the Knicks and it's preseason for the content creators as well.
Absolutely.
So you know how that goes.
Absolutely. Well, I was spending time trying to get this thing going on Streamlabs, and there's so many different steps that I've forgotten about with a Mac. So maybe the next one I'll have it set up for that because it gives me more ability to work with the graphics and all that jazz. But shout out to, we got Bowen Chen, salute brother, Connor Tulin, good to see you, man. Jose Vasquez,
thank you guys for tuning in.
Hey, first thing I want to hear is what were your general feelings about the first pregame show? I don't know if you had time to kind of express yourself about it and stuff, but I'd love to hear it here.
I think it was a solid showing for the Knicks. We were in command of that game for the most part. You saw Jalen Brunson and what his impact for this team can look like when he's out there cooking, extremely efficient. And we saw RJ Barrett as well start to be able to work off of that. So I think that's important for us to view this season because we think, at least I think Jalen Brunson can be a catalyst for RJ Barrett and his growth. So to see those guys on the court together being able to knock down shots was dope. Julius Randle, he upset me the first half, but in that third quarter, I think he finally got into the motion, got into the swing of things, and he started to look much better. So if we can have an engaged Julius Randle for the entirety of the season, I think we'll be an extremely dangerous team. You look what Mitch was able to do out there with his impact defensively, him being able to rotate and help, protect the rim, protect the paint. I think that was important to see. You look at guys like iHeart, him knocking down the 2 threes right off the bat. I think that was extremely exciting. It's been a long time. I can't remember any. Well, KP, it's been a long time since we had a big that can really knock down the three and has a jumper that looks fluid and hitting nothing but net. So to have iHeart be able to have that type of versatility offensively, that was exciting. And we just need Tibbs now to kind of scheme some things up to get him involved. Deuce, also, I got to mention Deuce. Deuce is my guy, man. Deuce is my MVP for that game. And the reason for that is he was out there being a pest defensively, and he's going to make Tibbs prove whether or not he's going to be a man of his word, because Tibbs said you're going to earn your minutes, and you can't look at what Deuce did in that game and say Deuce has not earned some more minutes or at least a spot in this rotation. Because if you look at the way our guards are set up, it's going to be hard to find him minutes. But with the way he's playing, he's got to be included in a rotation some way, somehow, whether it's a specialist that's going to come off the bench and be a pest out there on the perimeter or something like that, even have him play on at the two opposite of a guy, like maybe Emmanuel Quickly or something like that. We saw those two work together in the summer league. Yeah,
we saw some of that the other night. They play well off each other, those two. I thought Deuce, he did his job beyond his job. I mean, in terms of he did his job, he showed Thibs he's a guy that he can count on defensively. 6 steals in like 20-something minutes. Outstanding.
Yep. And
you also mentioned use him as a specialist. That's some of the things that I'd like to see happen this season, where like JD came up with a great term to describe Thibs' coaching style is template coaching. The thing is, it's not like he's using someone else's template. It's his own template that Thibs has. He just keeps replicating stuff and repeats it instead of looking at who the opponent is, and strategize your starting lineup or your rotation to best maximize your roster versus the other team's roster. Not the same squad every time, the same 8, 9, 10 guys every time. Sometimes you got to reach a little further down on the bench to bring in a guy like Deuce to disrupt the other point guard, get them out of their rhythm. I mean, we've seen it last season. So many guys just went off on it. Remember that stretch where it was like Rubio, career high. It was a career high stretch
every night.
Yeah, every night. Well, why not just put the pest on him? Just suffocate the guy. Get the guy out of his rhythm. Because once you disrupt them, you know how hard it is to get back in. When you've been hot for like a 4-minute stretch, suddenly you get fouled. You get harassed. The ball's out of your hands. You lose your fluidity, and then you can't quite recapture it for like a couple of quarters. And that's sometimes enough to give us an edge. Situational lineups, as Lex says right here. That's exactly what we're talking about. Shout out to Lex. Good to see you, brother. Welcome back. I loved all that. What'd you think of Mitch? I know you touched on him a little bit, but I think he deserves a little deeper discussion, especially since you and I are probably two of the biggest Mitch fans are out there.
I think Mitch was solid. You saw what he can do and the impact he can have defensively. He made the Pistons extremely uncomfortable anytime they got into the paint because they had to be mindful of where he was. And if they weren't, they got their shot swatted. So I think Mitch shows the kind of impact he can have out there on the court. And we even saw him try to get into it, offensively. He tried to do the drop step. He ended up getting the turnover for the defensive 3 seconds. But I would like to see him try. This is preseason. This is where guys should try to go and do things that they might not be 100% comfortable with, just to see if it's something that they can do out there on the court. And so he looked decent enough when he tried to attempt it. Hopefully next time he won't be parked in the paint as long as he was to get the defensive the 3 seconds in the paint. But I mean, I love to see it. I want to see him continue to expand that part of his game. And we saw Ihart shooting threes from the center position. Let's see Mitch start shooting some mid-ranges and threes as well.
Well, I think he said he's going to attempt the 3. But he did say he's been watching Steven Adams. And that he's going to try and do some of those moves like front 3-point line or the top of the key and just drive from there instead of waiting down low or just being a lob threat. Once you add one dimension, an additional dimension to your game, it's just exponential how much more how much more confusion that creates for the defense, because then they can't just wait for him to roll.
Yep.
Now they go like, oh, wait a second, he might do something. He has options, and then as he does more of that, he gets more comfortable, and then he starts expanding his arsenal more. So far, everything I've seen, and it was just one game, but everything I've seen has made me very happy. Let's just put it simply. Even Thibs' rotations in that first game made me happy.
We can't give him that much credit though. It still is preseason. We shall see.
Absolutely. We got to see until it's real.
But them being willing to bench Fournier and give Cam an opportunity, I guess you got to be happy with that as well.
Yes. I think, well, I wonder if they decided to bench him before they knew Cam was going to be ready.
Well, regardless, the fact that they're actually resting some of these vets like an Evan Fournier, because even if it wasn't Cam, it would have been another young guy that was going to get the opportunity to play. So the fact that, a guy in Tibbs that is known for playing his or running his players into the ground is actually rotating some rest days in, I think is a good sign.
Yeah. Bowen, you have a fun question here. If we have time, we'll get to it because we got some stuff to go on. But there's a good question about, Spider. Let's get to it. Before we do it, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit that thumbs up button for us. And if later on you get a thought or something, just drop it in the comments. I read them all pretty much. And definitely we're gonna repeat the pregame live shows the way we did them last season, right? Keys?
Yep.
We're gonna alternate on every other game. It'll be either on the Into the Knicks-Verse or on Sports 5 TV. That's right. And we'll get Foxy on. We'll get other guests on as well. It won't be just us. But today you're stuck with just us. Yes, Fournier is out. Fournier is out for rest.
Yep.
That's right. Lex is like the producer now on the show here. I love
it. He holds it down.
Great.
Definitely one of the best mods in the game.
Yeah. What'd you think of Mr. Brunson?
I think Brunson showed you exactly who he is. He's a guy that can get into the paint. He can be shifty. And even if he does, find some opposition in the paint, he has his head up and he makes some good decisions. We saw him be able to kick it out for some corner threes and things like that. So I like what I saw from Brunson. He did have one boneheaded pass. I forget what quarter it was, but it ended up being a turnover. He passed it right into a piston. But for the most part, he showed that he's a solid point guard. He's a capable point guard, and he's a massive upgrade from some of the other point guards we've had to start the season. The only thing I would say is, man, he's got to get out of the way of those elbows. He took too many elbows in preseason. That's the only thing,
really
man.
Bad one, man. But he's tough, that guy.
Yeah, tough. Love to see it, but I prefer to see it in the regular season than in the postseason.
Totally. Yeah, I saw there was that one. I didn't see that other one you mentioned, but that one, man, that was down. I think down on the left baseline. Someone was spun and just boom.
Caught him right, clipped him.
I thought he was done. He bounced right back up.
Yeah, like it was nothing.
Yeah, that was like nothing. Derrick Rose. He, he's definitely, he has become one of my favorite players, just as a person. Obviously his game is tremendous, or was tremendous, and he's adapted. Do you feel that? Do you think we really? I know we love Rose, and he provides some leadership and some guidance. But at the end of the day, is he kind of in the way?
Oh, he's definitely in the way.
Yeah. It's a tough decision to make. If he's healthy.
Not to me. You ship him out of town to a contender.
Yeah, but right away?
Hey, I wouldn't have started the season with him on the roster. I would have traded him to a contender. We have a lot of depth here at that guard position with a lot of young players. So I would have seen if I could, move him and free up some additional cap space. I mean, this offseason was an offseason where we did try to get as much cap space as possible to make some moves. So if I could have included Derrick Rose in the deal, that would have gotten us, some decent compensation in return. I would have made the deal.
Yeah, I would have traded him as well, but I think the fact that he had the injury
made it difficult.
But he's like a kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that 30 games in, you definitely look for a great home for him where he can actually have a chance to win the chip this year. Because I don't know how many more seasons he's got.
Yeah,
to be honest, let's just be real about that.
The last few seasons have all been marred by some sort of injury.
Yeah. And so that we can get the best of both worlds, because we can get that extra 2 months of him here to help kind of stabilize things. And then once we find, the other guys start proving themselves, which they have already, but let's say just continue to affirm what we had seen towards the end of last season, talking about the young guys, then you trade him to a great place that he can win a chip. I mean, that's what I would love to see for him. And then when he gets that opportunity. I saw a great thing. Oh yeah, here JTA was asking, "Yo, George, are you surprised Jericho hasn't been mentioned much as one of our young gems? He's always played well, especially this past summer league." Honestly, I'm not surprised because he is still raw. He's still very raw. There's a lot of his game is purely athleticism. He's not purely, but he's definitely, we saw in summer league, he started driving more, started handling the ball more, which I really like. Passing out of the post, looking for cutters, all of that stuff is great. I just think it's a matter of time. I do think he could be a rotation piece on a good team in the future. Whether he's one of our gems, that's still to be seen. I think this year will be a good year for us to find out, because there's going to be injuries, especially with big guys. There's going to be back-to-back games. I mean, I want to see this like strategized where back-to-back games, Fournier does not play. Rose does not play. Maybe rest Mitch or iHeart. Let's just keep people as fresh as possible.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no need to overplay guys anymore. And Thibs has intimated that. I forgot the exact phrasing. Maybe you can remember it. It's been recent, either yesterday's post press conference or the day before. He said now we have more options or something. I think he mentioned that in terms of minute loads for certain players. Now he intimated something like he has more options now. Hopefully that means going deeper into the bench and distributing the minutes a little more reasonably.
Yep.
What is your thoughts on Thibs?
On what, his coaching?
So far, yeah, everything he's been saying. I know you and we've talked about this already.
Yeah, I mean, I want Tips to be a bit of his word, because he's saying a lot of the right things, but then he'll say something else in a different interview. So as long as he's being honest, where he says these guys are going to have to earn their minutes, then I'm perfectly fine with that. It's just, he has to be a man of his word, because you see what Deuce is doing. You see that Cam is getting an opportunity to play today at the 3. If those guys go out and ball out, then I think there should be a legitimate competition either at the starting 2 or 3 for Cam, and even Deuce to come in and eat away at some minutes, maybe from a guy like D Rose, who can be there as a vet, but doesn't always necessarily have to be on the court as many minutes as Tibbs might play him. So I think so far we've seen Tibbs be pretty decent, but then again, it's preseason, so it doesn't hold as much weight as opposed to what we'll see in the regular season. Because in the preseason, you want to see the guys on your bench, because you have some camp battles and things like that. So I want to see what Tibbs does when the regular season comes and the games actually count towards the win-loss records, because we've seen reports that, the front office might be a little bit fractured in terms of whether they want to, continue moving forward with Tibbs or move in and bringing in another head coach. So he's going to be coaching to win games, and I want to see how he responds in adversity. You're not going to see too much adversity in preseason games. It's in the regular season games when those win-losses count towards your record and towards whether or not you're going to keep your job. So far it's been, nothing to really say has been egregious, but I just need to see what it looks like in the regular season.
Yeah, it's like it's all talk until you see it in the real season, and when there's duress, when there's conflict, when they're faced with disappointment, how does he react? From my point of view, is he started out saying the wrong things, and I think he saw that, and then he tried to pivot to a certain extent. And he started, throwing some love, basically up to everybody, up and down the roster. Though Cam, a little bit of love he threw Cam, then he dissed him because, he didn't make his shots. But he said some nice things about everybody. Deuce, IQ. He shouted everybody out. The man only has 30 games. I think he only has 30 games, and I think he knows it. This team has to get off to a good start, and we've already talked about how difficult the first about 15 games are.
Yeah, extremely difficult.
We could easily go 3-12, right?
Yeah, quite easily. You got the Nets, you've got the Bucks, you've got the 76ers. Who else is on that?
I mean,
in that first 15, the Cavs.
Any good team, just Cavs,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, we have a very tough opening 15 games. The 15 games after that, I think, are truly what is going to determine what happens with Thibs' future. The irony is, if he coaches the way he normally coaches, his team is not going to do as well. In terms of his rotations are tight, and he's overplaying guys like Randall and Brunson and Barrett every night. That's not the best way for this squad to maximize its assets. And then I think he's going to double down, and that's going to lead even more to getting him, shown the door.
Run out of town.
Yeah. So it's almost like he should be coaching the preseason in his mind, at least quarters, at least sections at a time, the way he would coach in regular season. So if he brings in, IQ early, or who was the first guy off the bench?
Cam, I think, was one of those first guys.
I think Cam was the first guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Cam was before Obi.
Because it kind of shocked me when Quick was then the first guy off the bench in the second half. I was like, what happened? What happened to Cam? And that's when we found out he wasn't going to be playing, I believe.
Yeah. So it's funny. I mean, I really think if he embraces the depth of the squad, he actually will end up getting what he actually ultimately wants, which is wins and to hold on to his job and get this team to the playoffs. But he's stubborn. So it's going to be interesting. All right. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us here at Into the Knicks-Verse pregame live show. We got Keith from Sports Vibes TV. And my name is George. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do so to both channels. Hit the thumbs up button also. Really much appreciate that. All right, we're going to get to the main topic, which is, here we go. Can Cam create a role for himself? Another way to put that is, can Cam crack the rotation? Like really meaningfully, night in, night out. He is a guy who they look towards. There's some major obstacles though, and which is odd because there really is only one other true three on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even call RJ a true three.
Oh, you're talking about RJ? I thought you were talking about Ferron.
Well,
because I wouldn't call RJ a true three as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call him, but he's the three. Right. That's what I said. I wouldn't even call him a true three. But you're right. See, so we only have one true three. And who's going to really play? Who has a chance of playing? Because Ferron is there in case of breaking case of emergency. Yes, Cam. Cam's the only real three that we have. And who can also guard multiple positions. He can guard a 2, he can guard a 4. Because, Grimes doesn't work at the 3. He's a little bit small in terms of being able to shift up and guard a 4 when those rotations happen. Same thing, issues are with Obi. Same issues are with Julius. RJ is the only, RJ and Cam, ironically, are very similar. When Cam's got, 2 inches on him, 3 inches on him?
Something like that. In that ballpark.
Yeah. What is, how do you think, I mean, just straight out, like, what do you think it's going to take for him to carve out a role for himself in this rotation?
Well, I think it's going to take him to be a little bit more understanding of what Tibbs wants on both sides of the ball. Because you see, offensively, if you look at the way he played, I think the start, he came out, like a bat out of hell. And you saw some of the chemistry with him and RJ. But one thing with Cam, sometimes the ball sticks with him a little bit too much. And we saw when Cam made quick decisions with the ball, good things happened. You saw the assist. He was able to make a good decision, pass it off, and I believe RJ was able to score. You look at the catch and shoot 3. He made a quick decision, took the shot. And when he starts to dribble a little bit too much, that's when you start to see the offense kind of slow down, and at times he's not able to get a good look. And I think the same way Tibbs says you have to, earn your minutes out there on the court, you have to earn the ability to freelance. And I think if Cam doesn't really have the ability to, not the ability, but he doesn't have the keys from Tibbs to kind of freelance out there on offense just yet. So he has to continue to play within the offense, make good quick decisions, and I think the talent is going to just show out. You saw they called him on a travel with that jab step, but you just saw the quickness that you really don't see from a lot of other players on this squad. So you look at what the physical tools that Cam has and the ability to knock down the three, like you said, the ability to guard multiple positions, and the instincts, the recognition as to what a player is going to do and being able to get in front of him. You saw on the fast break, he was able to get a strip, and that was able to allow the Knicks to get back in position on defense after everything reset. So Cam has all the physical tools. He just has to now buy in and just do, what Tibbs has asked of him. And if he does that, he better be getting additional minutes because, like you said, he's the only real three on this team. And I think RJ, benefits from him out there, with him being out there on the court with him at the same time.
I love them.
Me personally, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, when Cam is cooking, having Cam and RJ on the wings is death for the opponent defensively. These guys can both shoot threes. They can both get to the hoop quickly. RJ is more of a passer, playmaker. That's as you pointed out, that's the major deficiency for Cam. Not that he can't. A lot of people think like you were like, oh, Cam can pass, and we've seen him. He's made some great passes, but it's like you see one like every 40
4 or 5 games.
Yeah. Right. You're like, where's that? How come we don't see that more often? So here, actually Lex found this for us. Thibs had mentioned in a practice interview that he wanted to start, mix, and matching guys on the roster. Something we have all been wanting to see. Hopefully it's not just for preseason. Exactly. I think that's the key for Thibs to be able to turn everything around. And hopefully hold on to
see, but the thing is though, Tibbs says that, but then you have Evan Fournier when they're asked if he's playing any minutes with iHeart, he says no, he's been only playing with Mitch. The starters have been playing with the starters, and the bench mob have been playing with the bench mob. So which one is it?
Yeah, we'll see. It's right, like we said, it's talk until we actually see it. We actually see it happening. The problem is like, all right, so who's he getting minutes from? Fournier. Yeah, I think Fournier. That's the thing about Fournier. If he's not like hitting, connecting shot, making buckets, then he really doesn't have much value on the court. Yeah, he becomes Kemba. He becomes a taller Kemba, healthy Kemba. If he's not making buckets, so then at that point, you do have to make an adjustment. But then the problem is with a shooter like that, and we've seen it in the past as well, where he might not have a great first 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, he'll snap off 3, incredibly difficult 3-point shots, like as the buzzer beater was counting down, and it helps revive that lineup that's on the floor at the time. So he has that within him, but at the same time, the cost of having him out on the court, if he's not producing buckets or contributing to an offense that is dominating, then he does, then you got to give those minutes to somebody else. So it might as well be Cam. If Cam is cutting back on the bonehead plays and some of the selfishness that you were talking about. Now, is it really selfishness, or is he just like, hey man, I gotta prove, is that his approach? Is the way he interprets earning?
I won't say it's selfish. He's just he's an ISO guy. He likes to cook in isolation at times, and you need that at certain moments in the game. But for a guy that the coach is asking you to do X, Y, and Z, and you go on the court and you start to freelance a little bit more than he would like, then that's going to be counted against you. So just buy in, and then there will be moments where the coach will look and say, all right, we need you to have one of those moments where you get into isolation, you break down the defense, get into the paint, and then things we can create off of that. Sometimes there'll be moments where he'll ask him to do that, but just wait, buy your time, and then when those moments arise, you just execute.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. I mean, there's going to be an opportunity as well. There's going to be opportunities. There's going to be nights when, like we just said, Fournier doesn't have it. So why just keep throwing him out there? But the problem is that we have Grimes. And Grimes is just such a well-rounded player. Plays tremendous defense. We saw how, I mean, when he's on his three-point shot, he's like, I think he's going to be one of the top three-point shooters in the game eventually. He'll be one of those top 10 in terms of percentage guys. So it's okay. So then what do? We got to cut back on some. I mean, really, it comes down to minutes have to come from Randall. So then there's more Obi time. Obi gets his 20 to 24. Randall's at around 28. So we got that about covered. They share some court time together. And then Fournier's got to come down. I mean, if Fournier is playing 18 minutes a game, that seems fine to me. There'll be nights where he plays 28. There'll be nights where he plays 10.
Even 18 sounds like a lot because you still, like you said, you got to filter because Fournier plays a 2. You would expect RJ now to be moved to the 2. So to get 18 minutes for Fournier and still get Grimes enough minutes for him to develop properly and to have Cam in a larger role, it's going to be extremely difficult. So at some point, there's going to be a trade. Me personally, I would prefer if it would be Evan Fournier, but I wouldn't be shocked if you see Cam be moved at some point this season.
Yeah, I agree. It could be Cam. Could be. Well, now we're on this. Let's move to the next topic here because it's obvious. You can see that the number one thing that has to happen for Cam to create a role for himself is to just basically outplay his former self. Cut down on the mistakes, but play those passing lanes. His anticipation is fantastic on defense, and hit his shots similar to what Obi was faced at the beginning of last year and in his rookie year. Obi, you hit your shots, you hit your three-point shots, you'll get more floor time. Now, it didn't quite happen exactly like that for him because he had an All-NBA guy in front of him playing like an All-NBA guy, but last season was a different story. So if he starts hitting, Cam starts hitting 38% of his 39% of his three-point shots, drives and finishes, and dishes here and there. Per 36, if he's averaging 4 or 5 assists a game, there we go. Now we got something. That's how he's going to get the floor time. He's going to force Thibs to play him because he creates a competitive advantage for the Knicks when you have him out there with RJ and either Randall or Obi. Just those three alone, that's a very difficult matchup for defenses. The opponent's defense. But all that aside, as you can see down below, it says, what is Knicks 22-23 ultimate lineup? What is the ultimate lineup for this team? Looking at the current roster that we have now, if you were the coach, which 5 would you start?
It varies based on objectives. If I'm trying to win, I would go Brunson, RJ, Cam, Julius Randle, and then Mitchell Robinson.
And who
I'm
would
looking
be
short term? And
that's ultimately to win. Like you mean right away, right off the bat.
Yep. If I'm looking at a long term view, it would change.
Long term view in terms of what?
In terms of maximizing, developing my younger players, I'd probably swap Randall out for Obi. And if not, even with the regular starting lineup as Randall, with Randall starting, I'd probably adjust those minute sliders and have Julius Randle and Obi a lot closer in terms of minute distribution.
Yeah. Actually, I think Canal just dropped it in here. Brunson, RJ, Cam, Obi, and Robinson.
And Mitch, yep.
Yeah. Now, what that lineup... All right, that lineup against, like, the Sixers. That can do some damage.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are some concerns with the shooting, especially with Obi. You know, his shot can be hit or miss. Cam as well. But I think if you're looking at trying to get the most out of the younger guys on this team that have the highest ceiling, I think that's the combo you would put them out on the court together with. You have RJ, Cam, and Obi. They can get up and down the court. You have Mitchell Robinson out there who can still give you that rim protection, even though Obi might not be a plus defender. And even if Jalen Brunson, people say he's not a plus defender, but he sacrifices his body and he draws charges. So we saw 3 in the preseason game.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be solid defensively.
2 charges and then that elbow that we were talking about. So 3. He caused 3 turnovers.
Yep,
which is excellent. But that it's wear and tear on you over time.
That is true.
It wasn't Kemba the leader of taking charges for 2 seasons or something. Yeah. I sometimes have like dreams of like this jumbo lineup, like a jumbo lineup where. Like I would just RJ as the point, Grimes as the 2, or IQ, but depending on the size, Grimes at the 2, Cam at the 3, Obi at the 4, and Julius at the 5.
That's your ultimate lineup in terms of rotation and closing minutes and stuff.
I'm talking about like if we needed like the largest lineup that we could put out there that still has versatility, still moves the ball. Like if Mitch starts growing in terms of all the things he's been talking about, the moves and all this stuff, then Mitch can replace Randall in the 5 spot there. I have this like vision of this like Toronto Raptors-esque type lineup. And I think at some point we're going to need to look at putting the ball in RJ's hands as the point. Or Cam. I mean, but Cam's still young. Cam's, it's only, not Cam. I'm sorry, not Cam. I meant Grimes. We saw it a little bit in Summer League, but that's different than regular league. But maybe eventually Grimes Grimes was a point guard. Originally.
Yeah, that's the route I would go. I think that's a closing lineup we might see if you want to be a bigger lineup and have Grimes out there with RJ, Cam, and either Obi, Randall, and another big.
Yeah, I think that would be a very difficult lineup for other teams to match up against. Defensively, they wouldn't be able to do much unless they have unless we're not talking about teams like that have an Embiid or a Giannis. A Joker. Yeah. But and if AD is back to where he was, but who else? What are I could Bam out there with Julius banging at the 5. Why not? And it would force other teams to adjust their lineup. I don't think we do enough of forcing other teams to reevaluate how they approach us. Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. I didn't look at the chat to see what they were saying.
Yeah, I was reading the chat too.
Yeah, what did the chat say?
Nick Yak wasn't a fan of you bunching Brunson.
Oh no, but Brunson would still start. I'm not talking about starting lineup.
Oh, just
like
lineup.
It's like the death lineup, like when Golden State had their death lineup. I'm not talking about a starting lineup, guys. Sorry, I should have been a little more clear about that. I'm talking about a lineup where we could just put out there for like 10, 12 minutes and just destroy the other team. Now, maybe the other team starts adjusting and then we start losing our advantages and then we can shift back to our more standard lineups. But like when we need to just shut a team down and put up points, that kind of lineup could be really exciting.
Yeah.
And we have great ball movement. All those guys can handle the ball. Grimes, RJ, Cam can all handle the ball. Even Obi has been showing his ability. Obi can go, from one end of the court to the other easily, like in a lightning flash. Randall's the one guy, the Julius Randle handle issue. But, don't put the ball in his hands to get it over the half court line. He doesn't have to bring it up. But look at how many fast breaks there'll be. That would transition lethal. And now we're just talking about the squad that we have, the roster that we have. Would it be the ultimate best? It's a whole other Well, there
I mean, you can get real creative with trying to get a team a lineup out there that's mobile but still can give you some good perimeter defense. I mean, you can take that same lineup and just take either Obi or Randall, or most likely Obi out, and you can put Emmanuel quickly, and you got Quick, you've got Grimes, you've got RJ at the 3. You got Cam spending some time at the 4, depending on who they or the other team has out there, and then you got Randall at the 5.
Mm-hmm.
But that way you've got shooting. We can actually play the 5 and out that Tibbs says he's going to be playing a little bit more. That'd be an interesting lineup.
Yeah, that would be. See, those are the type of things. I mean, we'll see. I mean, last season we saw like 30 seconds of shit like that. And then we'd be texting each other. Oh, look, and then oh, you got something.
Like Deuce playing with the starters last preseason game. I saw Deuce with the starters, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty interesting. And just like that, Fournier comes back in.
Yeah. Another thing is, let's go Mets.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Yes,
let's
sir.
go. I want to see the Mets play the Dodgers here in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah.
And destroy the Dodgers' dream season. It's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a miracle, but it's only 3 out of it's best of 3. Oh, best of 5 would be the Dodgers series. Yeah. In a 4 out of 7. That'd be really tough to bring the Dodgers down.
Hey, it's gonna be difficult for us. It's gonna be difficult for them to beat us in a 7-game series, having to face DeGrom and Scherzer twice.
Dude, another Subway World Series. Oof, that would be tremendous.
Yeah, and then what would be tremendous is beating the Yankees in the World Series, and that's not judging the offseason.
I just want to get there. Just want to get there. Let's go there, man. Let's go. I love it. All right, we're getting close. I think game time is coming up, right?
Somebody said game started already. I'm trying to pull it up.
Did it? You got no stats here. Game has not started yet.
Not started. Okay, so we got time.
We got a little time. All right. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us, man. I think this is going to be an exciting season for us. I really do.
Hey, it's gonna be on one side of the extreme. I don't think a Knicks season can fall anywhere in the middle. It's going to be an extremely great season, or things are going to be in a bunch of turmoil, coaches losing their jobs and things of that nature. So there's no middle ground.
There's no middle ground. One thing, there was a nice tweet by Stephen Bondi, who I went at him on Twitter last week about something.
You beefing with Bondi? What's going on?
Yeah, no, it was chill. It wasn't anything big. But here he wrote, because I guess he was interviewing D Rose, or this is from the D Rose pregame press conference or whatever. He quoted him. He says, "You don't gotta make a large jump," he said. "Just make a small jump if you're a younger guy. It can be shooting, passing, putting the ball on the laces, talking, whatever. But we need you to come back a little better than last year." I think they're going to do it. I think we're lucky. We have young guys like that. All of our young guys have, since Ntilikina and Knox, since that era, every single one of our young guys have made really significant advancements from one season to the next, even from one half season to the second half of the season. We've seen that. So that is a great sign for our young core. And
if you're a fan of Tibbs, you can say that, hey, we've never seen that until Tibbs got here. So
yeah.
If you believe Tibbs has something to do with
it. Hey, there's a lot. There is a little tiny Thibs Island. It's out there. It's like this. It's like a rock next to Roosevelt.
It's
on that island are a couple people on there who believe that Thibs is a great developer of a talent. He knows how to best maximize a rotation. D Rose became an MVP under him. Turned Yannick into defensive player of the year. Look at Jimmy Butler. He does have a history of having guys become great basketball players while he's been the coach. So it's interesting. New York basketball NBA at NBA_New York tweeted this out. Great Twitter account, by the way. If you guys aren't following, it's great. This was interesting. This was from branddirectory.com. They ranked all the NBA teams. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't know if you saw this, Keith. Twitter says more people say the New York Knicks are their favorite team than any other NBA team, according to a new report today from Brand Finance. And I can tell you, do you know who's number 2?
Lakers?
The Bulls. The Bulls. And that's from the Michael Jordan era. When I was on the New York Knicks Brazil channel interview, he was talking about that. I was like, yeah, because of Michael Jordan and the Bulls from that era, they became really popular in Brazil. But he says now the Knicks are almost as popular. And maybe even that's just Brazil. So internationally, the Knicks are incredibly popular.
That's crazy too, because it's not like we've been one of the more successful franchises in the last 20 years.
Not at all. But you got to talk. The thing is, the Knicks iconography is so tied together with the New York brand and the mentality that and plus, if you go to see a game at MSG, there is no other arena like that. But it is interesting because we've been basically shitty for like 20 something years. 13% of the people said Knicks, 11% said Bulls, 9% said Lakers, which that sounds right. 8% said Celtics, and 7% said Warriors.
Okay,
and it's a pretty drop off after those guys. I wanted to read that one out. I thought that was a great little tweet there. Let's see if there's anything else here. All right, I think the game is about to start.
Yeah, they showing Cam on MSG now.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
Let's see how this goes. I want Cam to come out there and drop 30 and see what Tip says. That's what I want to see. Hold his feet to the fire.
Hey, that's how it works. That's how life is, man. I mean, whenever I've had an opportunity, whenever I have advanced, it's because I just went out and just grabbed it. And I just like showed everybody, look, I can do this 10 times better than the next guy. And they're like, well, we got him. We got to let this guy. We got to give this guy an opportunity. And Cam has all the talent in the world to do that.
Yep.
So we'll see. All right. Thanks, Lex. Thanks so much for holding it down, man. Love you, brother. Best mod around. New Yorker, good to see you. Joseph A. Shout out to the chat. Master Scheme 1. All right. We still got a good, healthy amount of people in the chat. Nick Yak. I love that name.
All right.
East Blue Drew. And Canal Ban Loya. All right, guys. This has been great. The game's about to start, so we're going to sign off soon. Again, the next pregame show be on Sports Vibes.
I'm not sure
Wednesday, right?
I'm not. I think we'll keep the preseason ones over here so we don't confuse anybody, and then we'll start for the NBA season. You can probably do the season opener, and then let me do the season opener, and then you do the home opener because I think I'm gonna be at the game.
Okay. Well, perfect.
Yeah.
That works. RJ already hit a bucket.
Did he?
I don't know. East Blue drew. Yeah. I don't know. What happened here? I think he did.
Cam's man just hit a bucket. Hit a 3.
Ah, man.
Buddy Hield.
Yeah. So if the Knicks finish the 15th game of the season 8-7, we got ourselves a team.
Oh yeah.
We got ourselves a
game
serious,
over 500.
Serious fucking team. If we are one game, that's how tough that first 15 games are.
Yeah, because I think we're only playing 3 or 4 bad teams.
Yeah,
so you're
that's
saying
it.
We get another 4 or 5 wins against teams that are actual playoff contenders. Hell yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the other things I wanted to drop here? I texted you guys some stuff. Predicted before we sign off. If you guys have any specific questions right before we sign off, just drop one in there for us. Let's see here.
Cam almost got an assist, but Brunson, he missed a 3.
Cam almost got an assist?
Yeah, Brunson missed a 3.
What's the most assists Cam's ever had in a game?
If I had to guess, I would say 4 or maybe 5. If I had to give a guess.
That'd be surprised if he even got that much.
Right?
Yeah.
And one ref.
It's.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I predict Randall will eventually pout about RJ becoming
Ascension.
Yeah,
His 6. Booyah!
6.
Put some respect on my guy, Cam.
Yeah, see? Cam can pass. Cam can pass. Awesome. All right, man. Great chat. I wish I'm gonna have to go back and reread them and stuff because I was missing stuff. We didn't have as much time here. I got a late start today, but this is awesome. It was great to get talking with you. Keith, you want to shout out to the chat before we sign off?
Thank you guys for tuning in and supporting the pre-games. Salute to Joseph A, East Blue Drew, Agent Super Argo, Joseph A. You get 2 shout outs. Alexa Destroyer, you already know what's up. Thank you for being one of the best mods in the game. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And make sure if you want some additional Knicks content, just subscribe to Sports Vibes TV as well. And make sure you subscribe to my guy George as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah. And follow us on Twitter as well. We tweet out a lot, basically all day long, pretty much. Sometimes too much. And yeah, we'll be doing more live shows, and I'll still be putting out obviously the recaps after every game. We'll be putting out a recap after this game. I'm going to try to do all 82 of the regular season, and still the analytic videos and Keith's game breakdowns, player spotlights. What else? What other type of content you want to shout out?
Cover some injuries as well. People, if players get hurt, and usual news, rumors, and analysis.
Yeah. And are you still having the Sunday show?
Yep, Sunday stream with Foxy and I. We'll be streaming this Sunday as well at 6:15. So make sure you guys are tuned in.
Awesome. There you go. You heard it here. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you around the Knicks-Verse.